Pregame.com.
And welcome back. Pregame.tv. Ken Thomson, your host. Don't forget to check me out. SportsX Radio Monday through Friday, 7 to 10 Vegas time. Also on the Yahoo Sports Radio Network. You can always stop down Legacy Stadium inside the beautiful Five Diamond Palazzo connected with the Venetian. When you come into Vegas, say hello. My main man, Bryan Leonard, is back with me. We have another preseason video. We talked a little Carolina-Buffalo, a Friday night game. Now we've got a Saturday afternoon game, and it is Cleveland taking to the road Johnny Manziel's opener, Brian Hoyer, the starter, named by Coach Pettin, but it will be Detroit hosting Cleveland. And Brian, again, preseason football, but you're a Browns fan. A lot of optimism from this Cleveland fan base. Again, like I said, LeBron James going over there, and Johnny Manziel. So it's kind of neat to see Cleveland, a team that is hungry to win a championship. It's been since 1964, since the Jim Brown era. And, of course, those fans, as passionate as they come. I know I've been around Browns fan bases on the West Coast a lot, and boy, do they represent. And that's even, you know, very rarely does a team end up having a winning record, but you can still find those fans there starving for that, those victories and those longing for those big-time seasons. Hopefully this year it turns out to be one.
Yeah, even though the Indians and the Cavaliers have had better success in the last decade or so, it is a Cleveland Browns town. The Browns run that entire town. And they are very excited. Maybe it's because I'm a Clevelander. I take it with a little grain of salt. I don't get too far ahead of myself. But yeah, they're talking big things in Cleveland. And granted, after you win 4 and 5 games every year for the last 6 years or whatever, it's anything that's a positive is something you want to take a look at. And you talked about Mike Pettin. A guy comes in right here that the fans are buying into it, the players are buying into it, trying to turn around the whole mystique of Cleveland, get back into more of a powerful football team, especially on defense. They've had some pretty good defenses over the last few years. Unfortunately, their offenses haven't done anything, which I think makes the defenses look a little bit worse. But you know, one of the things I take a look at, and we mentioned in the last video, we don't do a lot in week 1 of preseason, but I think we found a couple edges in these first 2 games here. But you know, it's the first game in his new era. He wants to put out a winning attitude, and I'd rather trust a new coach on the road as opposed to being at home. I've done some research on how they've done at home. A lot of times there's a lot more pressure on them. People look at that and say, well, they're playing their first game at home. He wants to come out and wants to win in front of the home fans. And a lot of times that team is favored, obviously, because they're the home team. And you're laying points with a team that is coming off of a bad season. I'd rather take points on the road with a team in this situation. I do like the quarterback situation for the Browns. Here's some young players on the team in the quarterback situation, but there's some talented players. And one thing I really like here, the coaching staff said the starters are going to play a little bit longer here, which means the starting quarterback's going to be in with the starters, which means Johnny Manziel will come in with the second string. He will not play with the starters this week. He may start next week. That's what they're talking about right now. But I would rather have a quarterback who does not have to rely on his arm, a guy that can get out of the pocket and run a little bit, against a second-string defense that's not used to playing together. So I think there's going to give him more of a chances to break one of those long passes, break one of those long runs. And from a point spread perspective, that's exactly what we're looking for right here. You know, working against the second string.
Right, talk to me, though. I mean, when you have a guy, a high-profile guy, that you're going out, you're spending a lot of money on a Johnny Manziel, you know he could be the possible face of the franchise in the near future. Do you want to risk him with the second-team offensive line?
He has the legs. They can get away from that. If it was Peyton Manning back there with a second-string offensive line, I'd have something to worry about. But when you've got a guy out there that's been used to running around his entire life, that's part of his game plan, I'm not as concerned about it. You know, and then you also have the second and third string defenses may not stick with their normal routine. They get out of there, they're excited. You know, you take a look at this team, Detroit's going to have 7 rookies playing in the first or second deep on their offensive defense. I believe 6 of those are on the defense. So you got a lot of guys out there that aren't used to their positions. They're going to leave their lanes, which is going to open up some nice runs for Manziel. At least that's what we're gambling on right here. You know, and you take a look at Cleveland. We talked about 6 straight seasons of 5 wins or less. This game's going to mean more to them than it does with Detroit. And you go back, you take a look at Jim Caldwell with Indy. He's never gone out of his way to win these preseason games. I believe
follows in the footsteps of Tony Dungy, who was his mentor. And I do have to tell you this, I like the ASU shirt, got the pitchfork there. My girlfriend Christy, she's from Phoenix, or she actually lives in Phoenix. She's actually a Madison girl, but she's a music major. That's what she majored in. She loved her time doing her internship over there at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. Speaking of Cleveland, this is your play, Cleveland, Detroit. Bryan Leonard, let's make it official.
Let's do it. All right, I'm not a homer, but we're going to take the Cleveland Browns here. Nice situation. You got the road team that I believe wants this game more. Got a new coach coming into the system. I like the quarterback situation here. I think they have an advantage there, especially with Manziel going against second and third string players. The coach for Cleveland's already come out and said they're going to play their starters a little bit longer in this game. I don't think Detroit will be doing that. Detroit's a team right now that has a lot of younger players. They're going to have 3 more rookies in the 1 and 2 deep in this game, and more of those are on the defense than the offense. I can see Manziel having a pretty nice day here against second and third string defenders. I'll take the points right here with Cleveland. I think the line's going to actually move that way a little bit, so we may end up seeing this game go off as a pick 'em, but we can get a little bit right now, catching the number. It's all the way up to 2.5 to 1.5 area, but we'll take Cleveland and we'll get the points here. I expect the Browns to win this one straight up, obviously.
There you go. And, of course, Detroit, we don't expect Stafford to play much. Calvin Johnson, again, a guy that has been injury-prone.
Yes.
They want to keep him on the sidelines most of the time because they already know that these guys know what they're doing. So, again, even though home-road deal, not much really as far as an advantage for home field advantage.
Yeah, they automatically give a 3-point home field advantage to the home team. That's not right. I think in preseason, I believe it's worth maybe 1.5 points. So anytime you're playing the road dog, you're automatically getting a little bit of an edge.
What do you expect from Manziel this year?
I'm not a huge fan because you had mentioned the part about him running around. You don't see too many quarterbacks in the NFL have a lot of success running around like that. These guys on defense are a lot faster. So when he gets in there, he may have some success, but how many hits is it going to take for him to leave? I personally think they should, obviously Cleveland wants him to play. And I think after halfway through the season, Cleveland will be out of playoff contention. So I think they'd probably be better to put him in at that point. But we'll see what happens. I mean, he's going to make things exciting in Cleveland. And really, at this point, that's what they're looking for.
There you go. And RG3, of course, found out the speed in the NFL is at every position. It's not just at several positions in the Big 12 like he went up against when he was at Baylor. Found out over there with Washington. And too many of those dings, they can shorten your career in a hurry.
Yeah, and the Big 12 is not really known for their defensive.
No doubt about it. All right, so there you have it. You have the Cleveland Browns plus the points. Bryan thinks they win straight up in Detroit. That's a Saturday game. So we've given you a couple NFL football games. Going to come back with a baseball play for Saturday. I'm going to give you a play between Baltimore and St. Louis. It'll be an interesting pitching matchup as Jimenez comes off the DL, goes up against Lackey, newest member of the St. Louis Cardinals. Ken Thomson, Bryan Leonard. We are here, of course, pregame.tv. We'll be back with another video. Keep it right here.